What's up, Grace Girls? Welcome to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast, where we focus on helping Black women change their lives by discarding negative thoughts, pivoting in the right direction, and shifting their mindset through cultivating a trauma free lifestyle. I'm your host, Courtney Christten, educator, content creator, life coach, counselor, and mental health enthusiast living in Houston, Texas. I created the Allow Yourself Grace podcast because I wanted to create a space for Black women to share their thoughts, feelings, and stories that make them who they are without fear of judgment. Allow Yourself Grace provides emotional support and encouragement within the Grace Girls community for women in need of non biased opinions from women other than family and friends. Personal development, self care, career, faith are among many of the topics we will discuss on this platform. Allow Yourself Grace podcast is here to encourage Black women to live unapologetically and thrive in being authentically who they are and were designed to be an entire vibe. No topics are off limits. We will cover it all. Now, grab a notebook, pen, sit back, and enjoy the show.
What's up, ladies? Welcome back to another episode of the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. So excited to have you guys back, y'all. We are killing it this season. I am super excited to have you all. I have just been in a great space, and God is just so good, and He never ceases to amaze me. Every time that we think that we are like planning our own life out, then he shows up and he shows out and he puts his spin on the thing. And I just love that for me, and I love it for you as well, because one thing we know is that when God comes through, honey, he comes through and he does his big one. And I am more than excited to be on his side and to have him on my side, most importantly. And that keeps us from being in the hustle and the bustle of things at all times, because as women, as entrepreneurs, some of us as parents, as wives, as sisters, and all the things, we tend to get into this hustle mentality and this grind culture. We all fall victim of it because we feel like we should be grinding constantly, and that we have so many things and so many people to take care of, that we're constantly on the move, and we don't have time to sit down. We don't have time to meditate. Some of us say, we don't have time to work out, to take care of our bodies, to choose the right foods, to cook healthy meals. We claim we don't have the time, child. And we've all are guilty of it. And we've all been guilty of saying, I don't have time. I've been busy. We all say it, and we say it all the time. But the funny thing is that no one normalizes rest. Right? We're in the culture of grind. We're in the culture of hustle and getting things done, and being competitive and all the things. And yes, all those things are important. All those things are essential assets to being successful, but at some point, sis, you gotta stop before your body stops you. And, when I was preparing for this episode and just thinking about all the things that women do, and especially, we just celebrated Women's History Month. And, especially during that time, it made me really reflect on how strong women really are. Like all the things that we do, the ability that women have to bring life into this world, to carry things that people don't um carry, or men couldn't carry even if they tried. Like all the things that women go through and experience in a lifetime is just amazing. And it takes a really, really strong human being. And it takes you taking care of yourself in order for you to be able to operate in a space of health and a space of caring for yourself. You have to make sure that you are prioritizing rest, right? In order for you to be there for everyone else and to operate in the capacity that you need to, at the highest capacity that you need to make sure that you are resting, that you are taking care of you before you can pour into anyone else. That is why you shouldn't feel guilty when you do something for yourself. Okay. So, in this episode, I want to dive into rest, right? I want you to say out loud, because this is our quote for this episode: rest is not a reward, it's a requirement. Rest is not a reward, it is a requirement. Why are we so addicted to busy? Just because you busy doesn't mean you doing something. That doesn't mean you got motion. Just because you busy. I mean, some of y'all be busy and broke. Let's talk about it. Broke and busy, honey. You busy, but you ain't got no money. And you running around. You over here, you over there. I mean, you busy, but you exhausted and your health is failing. You got high blood pressure. You're not eating, you're lethargic, you're dehydrated. All the things because you're not taking care of you. That's not cute. And we're going to keep it cute. We're going to keep it cute. So, people tend to feel guilty when they're not doing something. Like, people really tend to feel guilty. That is why most of us that have a house cleaner, we clean before the house cleaner even shows up. Like, we already cleaning the house. And it's like, well, shoot, we paying you to clean. And I'm over here cleaning because I don't want you to think that I wasn't doing something. And, we've trained ourselves to be hustlers. And don't get me wrong, you have to have a bit of hustle about you, but also, too, you can't hustle to the point to where you're no good for yourself, you're no good for your family, you're no good for anyone when you are lethargic, tired, overworked, stressed, um not eating, dehydrated. You don't even take time to drink water. You're vitamin D deficient, and most black women are, cuz I'm one of them. Like, you have to take a break. Like, rest is required for you to be the best version of you. It is a requirement. I want to talk about myself for a second. So, over the summer last year, I had the biggest scare with my health. Like, my body literally malfunctioned. Like, it malfunctioned. And when I say malfunction, I mean, like, how when you can feel like something's not right, like something's going on with me. I'm not really sure what's going on. I was telling my husband, he didn't understand. And I was like, you know what? I just got to make a doctor's appointment because I don't know what's going on. And I go to this doctor's appointment and they're like, when is the last time you've had your blood drawn? And I'm like, well, I can't really remember. They look at my records, they tell me, and they're like, oh, well, you're supposed to have your blood drawn every year, once a year. I had no idea you were supposed to do that. Like, at this big age, I had no idea we were supposed to like get checked like that, like a full panel. I'm talking about where they check everything. Like, they test your blood for all these things. And so, y'all, I went. I knew I wasn't feeling right, but I went. And so I think it was like a couple of days later they contacted me and they said, hey, we need you to come in so we can go over your panel. So if you've been to the doctor, then you already know that when they tell you to come in, and it's not good. Because if it was good, like, you could have just told me that over the phone, sis or bro. And they're like, come in. So I'm already anxious. I'm already like, oh my God, what are they gonna say? So I'm like, okay, you gotta pray, because whatever it's gonna be is gonna be. So I go in and they go over my panel. Everything's red, y'all. Everything's crazy. Everything's out of the normal, like insane. So I'm like, okay, what does this mean? And she's like, well, we're going to try to test you again. And keep in mind that when she did the test, when I went in the first time, I'm like, oh, you're going to take my blood. I'm like, but I've eaten. And she's like, oh, no, you should be fine. I'm not a doctor, but I know that, like, when you do blood, normally they want you to come on an empty stomach and they want you to have been fasting. And I hadn't been. So she's like, well, I'm gonna draw your blood again tomorrow morning. So don't eat and just come back and get your blood drawn so we can do it again. So we do it again. Granted, my panel is much better than it was, but it's still not good. So I'm saying all this to say, like, if I hadn't went, I wouldn't have known what was going on. If I would have just said, oh, I'm gonna try to do this and this, I don't really know, but I know I'm not feeling well, but I kept going. It took me stopping to say, no, something's wrong. You need to go figure out what's going on, for me to realize that I was pre diabetic. And so that meant that I had to make some changes. I had to change my diet. There were just some things that I had to change. I had to get back into my workout routine for me to see the results that I needed to see, because I know that I don't want to be diabetic. Had I not gone, I probably would have already been diabetic, because I would have still been doing some of the things that I was doing. So I say all that to say, like, if you feel like I am, like, always tired, I'm always low energy, like something's going on, try resting. And then if you really truly deep down feel like something's not right, I'm going to encourage you to go to the doctor. And I'm not going to say that the doctor's always right, but sometimes it can shed light on the things that we know that we should be doing and that we're not doing. And so everybody comes into the beginning of the year with this mindset of, oh, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to lose this amount of weight. I'm going to work out. And then usually by April, May, they fall off. I want us to keep the mindset that if I'm not healthy, then I'm not going to be any good for anything that I have to do. So if your health and you being tired and you being dehydrated and all these things is impeding upon your production and your productivity, then I'm going to encourage you to go get checked out, because your kids need you, your husband needs you, your family needs you to be healthy. And you need to be healthy for you. You need to feel good about you for you, right? And so I'm encouraging you to show up for you. Like, take a break sometimes, get that rest so that you can show up as your best self every single day. Constantly being on, right? Because we struggle with turning ourselves off. It drains you. It drains your creativity. It drains your peace. It drains your purpose. One of the things that my husband and I have been doing lately is we've been going on our walks. And we used to do this a lot when we were back on it. And eventually I want to get back into riding a bike, but I'm going to purchase a new bike. But it's like just getting out and getting sun and, enjoying God's creations, touching the grass, smelling the air. All those things are so important and essential to our brain development and our brain function. Like, you get so many ideas, you get creative, you get clarity, you and if you're going with someone, you get time to spend with them. And outside of technology, outside of being on go constantly. It allows you to take a break. You're not on your phone. You're not like, you're taking a mental break just to clear your mind and get clarity. And y'all, you wouldn't believe how much this helps with being productive. Like sometimes just turning off your brain and coming back to the drawing board later or coming back to doing what you were doing just gives you like a boost of natural energy. And I want y'all to try doing that because in order for you to be productive, you need to be at peace. You need to know your purpose. You need to be creative. All these things are required for you to be successful. And especially if you are in business or if you are a parent, like these things are required in order for you to be successful in those areas. Period. It's a non negotiable. And so, making sure that you are prioritizing your rest, getting an adequate amount of sleep, drinking water, eating meals, all those things are important. Starving yourself is not going to keep you healthy. Like your body needs nourishment in order for you to have energy to produce. There's no way you can be productive if you're not eating. That's where you get your nutrients and your energy from. It's just what you're eating, right? Because we claim we don't have time, right? But we got time to sit in a drive through for 30 minutes and wait on our food or 20 minutes because sometimes they take forever. These are the things I'm saying. And I'm not telling you to deprive yourself of everything that you love because one thing about me, I'm going to have a little bit of what I love, but I'm also what I am telling you is to prioritize your health, prioritize your mental health, get rest, drink water. Like those things are important for your brain to function properly. So a lot of you are wondering why you're not seeing the results you want to see, and it's because you're not taking care of you. You're too tired to do anything. You go to work, you come home and you sit in front of the TV and then you go lay down and then you get up and you do it all over again. And don't forget the complaining that you're doing throughout the day. I'm tired. I don't like this. Like all the things that you're saying is really what's coming to pass, and you're ignoring a lot of things that are going on with you. And so stop normalizing your back hurting, your legs hurting, your feet hurting, your neck, and saying, "Oh, I'm old, my back hurt." Oh, when you get old, your back gonna hurt. No, it's not. Like, my back's not gonna hurt. Like, stop saying that if I know that I'm doing the right things to take care of me. So it's funny, but it's like you have to think about these things because some people are like making themselves believe that being in a hustle and a grind and constantly going and ignoring all these things that's going on with your body is normal, and it's not. So let's start to give ourselves permission to pause, break down the benefits of pausing. Break them down, write it down. Like, why is this important to me? Because everybody is different, but I'm going to tell you why it's important to me. And we may or may not have some of these things in common. Number one, it's important to me because clarity, I need clarity. It gives me clarity and it gives me the ability to make better decisions. Like when I can think clear and I can sit and I can like plan stuff out and like work and like have my quiet time, I can get so much done. I make great decisions. I come up with amazing ideas. Y'all, I love that for me. And number two, emotional regulation and self awareness. Like you're able to regulate your emotions when you're well rested. Like you're not so snappy. You ever wonder why people are like, you say one thing to them and they like, wow. And you're like, what is going on with you? What's wrong? I just said one thing. It's probably because they tired. It's like a kid. Like most of y'all that are parents, y'all know when your kid gets tired, you know exactly what they need a nap because they start acting crazy, they whining, they upset, they snapping at everybody. It's either they tired, they hungry, or if they wear diapers, they need to be changed. Like it's usually something regarding self-care, caring for them in a way. Like they need something from you in that area for themselves. Like that is so, so important. And self-awareness is just knowing who you are and knowing where you are and owning who you are. Like it's hard to do that when you tired. That's why people are like, "Oh, I'm this person today and tomorrow I'm this person." You like, "Wait, what happened?" So, being aware of yourself. Number 3, increased creativity and connection. Like I just talked about that. The ability to be creative, the ability to connect with others without having an attitude, without being upset with everyone, without cursing everybody out and having meltdowns. Those are all things that play a role in us not getting proper sleep. I'm gonna use my husband as an example. Like, I can tell when he's done. Like, he will literally crash out in the middle of the day and take a nap. We're like, I need a nap. My brain need a break, and that's okay. You need to take breaks, guys. Like, it's needed. Your brain can literally go on overload, and when you wake up, it's like, woo, you got a new burst of energy. I promise you, you should try it. So there's 3 ways to pause without guilt because most people, especially if you're a parent, because I hear it a lot. I'm not a parent, but I hear it a lot. It's like you feel guilty for taking a break, or like a lot of moms, they feel guilty for buying something for themselves and not buying for their kids when they go in the store. Like simple things like that. They feel guilty about. So this is a way that you can pause and not feel guilty. Number 1, morning silence or prayer before you pick up your phone, before you get on your computer, before you start getting the kids ready, before you get the household up, start cooking breakfast. Try waking up a little bit earlier than everybody else just so you can have those 30 minutes of silence to yourself. That 30 minutes to drink your coffee or your tea and pray and read your Bible. Like taking time for yourself and just having a brain break and not having to do something for someone else, not having to think for someone else can make a world of difference in how your day goes for the rest of the day. And number 2, let's do a midday check-in. How am I feeling right now? Like during your lunch break or during your lunchtime, like how am I feeling? How am I good? Maybe taking a moment to read. That's a good way to finish books. Like just taking a moment for yourself, like checking in with you. Number 3, schedule breaks that are non-negotiable. So this is hard for some people, but schedule days and schedule time that is like just for you. Like, this is my day. This is my time. Don't bother me during this time. This is what I'm doing. I'm just chilling. I usually, if I'm not, it just depends. If I'm not meal prepping, I'll usually take Sundays to do that. I just like to turn my brain off, even though sometimes I'm still doing stuff, but maybe for like a few hours, I'll turn my brain off. Like nothing is happening. Okay. So be adamant about getting your time if you can. Okay. And a lot of you, you may not have anybody to watch your kids. There may be different factors, but think about ways that you can maybe put them to bed earlier or maybe get them occupied so you can have a few minutes. Like start getting creative with how you're carving in this time into your schedule. Practical grace. Let's talk about it. Where in my life Am I rushing past myself? That's 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 a good question. When I came up with it, I was like, I gotta write this down. Where in my life am I rushing past myself? Y'all, I've had the biggest epiphany. Like, I literally had to stop and say, girl, you moving so fast, you don't even know if you coming or going. Like, slow the hell down. Like, what's the rush? Because when we rush, we're not efficient. Like, you're making mistakes, you're missing stuff. And it's like, why am I rushing? Like, if I'm working on something over time, like, I should be able to chew off a little bit every single day. We've all heard the phrase, you can't eat an elephant in one day. So slow your ass down, girl. And so I literally had to say, let me slow down so I can enjoy the process. I can be immersed in the process. And it can be more beneficial to me and to if I'm trying to do something for someone else, it can be more beneficial to them if I'm operating with a clear mind and a clear heart. Like those are the things, those are the spaces and places that you want to be when you are being creative or trying to be productive. The next question is, what would happen if I pause right here? If you stopped, just I don't care where I gotta be. I don't care who calling me. What would happen? Let me tell you, one thing about the show, it will go on. The show will go on. Like, they will survive. They will wait till you call them back. Like, you will find out whatever you need to find out when you're done. But sometimes you have to pause in the moment, and that's okay. Whether you got to go in the bathroom for a couple seconds, it's okay to just say, hey, hold on. Let me take 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Like, be okay with doing that. Be okay with doing that for you because I promise you everything's going to be okay. Encourage yourself to continue to create your space for grace. Okay? Make this a habit. 5 to 10 minutes of being still, meditating, of self care, simply closing your eyes. Like 10 minutes, make it a habit. Whether you're in the shower, whether you're, driving in your, don't close your eyes while you drive. Whether you're in your car, because sometimes you pull up in your driveway or wherever in the parking lot, take 5 minutes and just, you don't got to close your eyes because I need you to be aware of your surroundings. But just take 5 minutes to, whew, it's okay. I don't know if it's because I'm a Taurus or I'm just really good at it, but one thing about it, I'm going to take my mental break. And I think I'm making it more of a habit during the workday because that's where I struggle during the workday because I like to just sit at my computer the whole time and just get the stuff done. But I'm trying to be more mindful of but my legs and my body and that I need to be moving and I need to get my steps in. So I usually wear my Apple Watch and it tells me like, hey, it's time to stand up. It's time to, take a break. And, I love that. I need to update my watch, but I love my watch because it does do that. It tells you like, hey, you need to stand up. Hey, this is how many calories you burn. You got this amount of steps you need to get in. So if you have a watch, that's a really good way to keep yourself on track. And also too, if I find it, the link to it, because I have it on my phone, there is a meditation app that reminds you to take breaks. That's really good as well. Like it'll pop up on your phone. And I know like some of you work, but like even if you're at your computer, just taking a 2 to 3 minutes of silence, right? That. So those things are so important for us to be productive. I don't want you to ever feel like I'm not being productive or successful if I'm not on. It's okay to turn off. Okay. It's okay to turn off. It's okay. You don't always have to be on. And continue to create your space for grace. I call it my grace space. Okay. Give yourself grace. Allow yourself the grace to make mistakes, the grace to not be perfect, the grace to walk in your authority, the grace to rest, the grace to know that if I don't pour into me, I can't function how I need to function to be um productive for everyone else in my life and to be a light for them. So, in order to be the light for them, I have to pour into myself. Self care. Self care is so important. And when you do self care, you teach your kids how to do it. You teach everybody else in your household how to do it. And you teach them how to honor it, right? They'll honor your time. They'll honor, like, okay, mommy's having her time. That's okay. These things can be taught, and guess what? You're teaching them how to do it for themselves. A lot of times the problem is we have never seen any women in our family rest. They did all the things. They went to work, they cooked, they made sure you got picked up, they put you to sleep, they did bath time, they did everything. And so we have to train our minds that I need rest in order to make sure I'm healthy, to make sure I'm functioning properly, not only for my family, but for me. Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. I love you and I thank you guys so much for the support. Make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time we drop. If you are listening to me on Apple or Spotify or any other listening platforms, feel free to follow us and leave us a review. I would love to hear from you. And you can find more information about the podcast and the other things that Allow Yourself Grace has going on at www.allowyourselfgrace.com. Also, make sure that you are following us on Instagram at AYG underscore allow yourself grace. I love you guys. And I'm going to leave you with this affirmation, and you can write it down or you can put it on your mirror. You can change out your affirmations. I'm thinking of coming out with some affirmation cards for you guys. And so you will have all the affirmations from every episode. The affirmation simply says, I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to breathe. Pausing is an act of power and not weakness. So taking a break does not make you weak. It does not make you any less of a woman. It is required. Say it with me. Rest is required. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to comment and share this episode with someone that you love or that you think could benefit from it. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Well, guys, that concludes our episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. For additional information about today's episode, please click the link in the show notes below. To learn more about our Grace Girls community and other resources we have to offer, head over to www.allowyourselfgrace.com. Until next time, Grace Girls, I love you all. Be blessed and continue to strive for success.